Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in today. As we all know, we are transitioning as a country, a state, and a city back to a greater level of normalcy after these past 14 months. Both the CDC and the Illinois Department of Public Health have issued guidance on the masks, gatherings, and the like for those who are fully vaccinated. Working with our local county health departments, the city of Aurora continues to align with the science and the medical professionals as we move forward. But as we all know, we still have work to do. And the focus of that work is focused on vaccinations. The state of Illinois is currently in the bridge phase, which has eased restrictions in many areas as we progress to phase 5 on what is anticipated to be on Friday, July 11th. Just a short 16 days from today. Good news is the metrics used to guide the progress to phase 5 are all trending in the right direction. New cases, hospital admissions, hospitalizations, and mortality rates are trending in the downward direction. We know that vaccines do work, and we must continue to focus on increasing our vaccination rates these next 2 weeks and well into the summer after things begin to reopen fully. And that's the continued challenging news. While vaccine data is county-based and not municipally based, we get a clearer picture of vaccination rates in Aurora by looking at the data from our county health departments. Kane County's vaccination rate is 38.4%. DuPage County's vaccination rate is 47.5%. Will County is 39.48%. And Kendall County is also 39.48%. Aurora is trending closer to a 40% range for vaccinations if we take the average of all of our 4 counties. That is progress, but we have more continued work to do. We were one of the first cities to stand up its own vaccination efforts well before the state stepped in to assist. Through 2 vaccination sites, one at Lake Street and one at the Fox Valley Mall, we vaccinated in Aurora thousands of people with our partners, Jewel Osco, Walgreens, and of course, the V&A Health Care Center. We were one of the first cities to roll out an equity-focused vaccination plan to address vaccination equity and hesitancy in our Black, Latinx, Indian communities, and our persons with disabilities. All of these clinics in partnership with V&A Healthcare. Like the rest of the country, we first saw the plateau take a sharp decline in demand for vaccines at these mass events that we put on. Now the focus is on taking vaccines to people in smaller neighborhood-based vaccine events. I applaud our health departments and V&A for working with our local school districts to host school-based vaccine effort for students 12 years and older and their families. And we'll continue to work with our health partners and community navigators for grassroots efforts to get our most disproportionately impacted communities vaccinated, including offering mobile vaccine clinics at community events this summer. If we want a joyful June and July and safer summer, we must continue getting vaccinated and encourage everyone else to do the same. Why? Because it's the best for the health and safety of our families and the entire community. Why else? Because we are on the brink of reopening the City of Lights, and it's time to activate Aurora. And that is our plan. Activate Aurora and get safely back to the fully open businesses, increased employment levels, great events, magnetic energy that are customary here in the City of Lights. Let's activate Aurora safely, securely, and starting in just a couple of weeks. So many of our partners have already announced plans to reopen, including the Fox Valley Mall, the Park Districts, Aurora Downtown, the Venue, and the Aurora Civic Center. Authority which manages both the Paramount and the River Edge Park, which have been fully shuttered for more than a year. We call it ACA. Before we announced the Activate Aurora reopening weekend and summer events, we have here with us Jim Jarvis, the Vice President of Programming and Sales for the Aurora Civic Center Authority, ACA, to share more about the plans for both Paramount and the River Edge Park for these upcoming months. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. So thank you all for coming. Yeah, it's exciting. We're finally getting back to doing what we do and doing what we love. So we're actually doing a variety of things. Like we're on Pride Day here in Aurora on June 13th. We're doing this big blowout. So all sorts of fun activities, like you can take on a drag queen in a lip sync competition, an actual professional drag queen. We're doing a thing where we're doing the red carpet and come in and dressed in your favorite Pride clothes for the day, do contests with that, a dance party, like all these things to kick it all off. Our School of Performing Arts, we're starting camps with those. And actually most of our camps are almost sold out. They're in person, we're keeping them socially distanced right now, but it starts on June 21st, that runs all the way through August. Then for River Edge Park, as the mayor said, and actually you don't even know this yet, Mayor, I didn't get a chance to tell you that on Friday, we're gonna make a major concert announcement for a great concert we're bringing in. We're gonna actually open the park on July 1st to bring these folks in, and then we're gonna run all the way through August 28th. And then next Tuesday, we have another major concert announcement. We're gonna add another major show to the mix, and that show is gonna be on July 18th, but we're doing all sorts of stuff there. We're doing these major rock shows. We're doing tributes to things like Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles, and we're doing a disco dance party with a Bee Gees, wonderful Bee Gees tribute band. And then of course, as the mayor had said, Paramount Aurora. So we are finally opening, after all this time, Kinky Boots. We are going to kick that off with the first preview on August 18th at 7 o'clock at night. And I will tell you this, that we're planning a grand opening and a light ceremony, and it will be an amazingly emotional experience for all of us, because as Tim Rader, our CEO, has told people, on March 12th, we had 272 full part-time employees. We still have 14 part-time employees right now. So we're bringing everybody back. We're getting ready to go. So it's an exciting time for all of us. So thank you guys so much, Mayor. Thank you for all your support and everything that we're doing. I appreciate it.
Jim Jarvis, I got one thing to say to you, brother. I'm in. We're coming back, Aurora. Concerts, musicals, plays, parks, First Fridays, family events, special events, and so much more. And from a citywide perspective, we align with the state to kick off Activate Aurora reopening weekend on Friday, June 11th. Let me share with you what is happening that weekend. On Friday, June 11th, as the bridge phase for Illinois closes, a new bridge phase in Aurora will open. The grand opening of the incredible pedestrian bridge in downtown Aurora will be held on Friday, June 11th at 11 a.m. We're cutting the ribbon and literally crossing the river as a community as we open the new bridge. While it is symbolic for the time, it is also very substantive to our overall plan for Aurora. From recreation and pedestrian and bike transportation to economic development and mass transit, the bridge is designed for all of this and much more. That will all be explained at the grand opening. That's Friday. Now on Saturday, June 12th, we celebrate the activation of community events with the grand opening of the 109th season of the Aurora's Farmers Market at Water Street Square in downtown Aurora. We'll host a ribbon cutting ceremony at 9 a.m. and we put a spotlight on events and entrepreneurs here in the city of Aurora. Join us in the downtown Aurora. Let's activate Aurora. Now on Sunday, day after that, June 13th, we focus on parks and recreation with the grand opening of the Phillips Park Zoo at 11 a.m. Bringing the family out for a fun time, seeing our animals and learning more about events at the zoo this summer. This is the official opening of all parks once again in the city of Aurora. Right here. Great, get out, get some exercise, have some fun. We are activating Aurora. And on Monday, June 14th, we mark the full reopening of Aurora City Hall and city facilities to the public. Now, we've never stopped our public service duties to our residents, but most of our team has worked remotely for the year, as suggested by the CDC. With that, we've modified the hours for Aurora City Hall with public access on limited days. Now, we'll be back to our regular 5-day schedule at City Hall, and reopening of such dynamic facilities as our GAR Memorial Hall and the David L. Pierce Art and History Center. And through the weekend and the following week, special ribbon cuttings will welcome new businesses and reopen former businesses here in the city of Aurora. Again, we are activating Aurora, but wait, there's more. The 4th of July is always a special time in any community. It's a special time of unity here in Aurora. This year, that means even more. It means so much more after what we've been through. We've already announced our plans for fireworks. Now, last year for the 4th of July, we hosted a processional from Rush Copley, a medical center, to Amita Mercy Medical Center, both of our hospitals, with stops at senior care facilities in between, as we honored our healthcare heroes. This year, I am excited to announce that as we activate Aurora, the 4th of July parade will be back in downtown. Back in downtown Aurora for the first time in 2 years. Let me say that one more time. The 4th of July parade will be back in downtown for the first time in 2 years. We're coming back. And we're inviting families in person to downtown. And for those who still want to watch remotely, we'll be live streaming the parade via social media and our websites. In the coming weeks, we'll be announcing our grand marshal of the parade and some of the exciting units in the parade that we'll have this year. Stay tuned. The rest of the summer will bring us our monthly First Fridays, neighborhood events, National Night Out, and back to school affairs. I believe we're talking about going back to school. But this is all contingent. It's all contingent upon the metrics and guided by the CDC and Illinois Department of Public Health. The key is getting vaccinated and encouraging others to do the same. Since March of 2020, I've stood at this very podium several times to discuss the pandemic and our response. Often those announcements were not uplifting or encouraging because of the uncertainty still looming overhead. Tens of thousands of Aurorans were diagnosed with COVID, including myself. Sadly, hundreds passed away. We gathered with many of their families right here in this room. Now, 4 months later, this is the first time I stand here when the future is not so uncertain because of COVID. Yes, we still are not entirely in the clear, but this is the most positive news we have had in our progress in a couple years. Aurora comes together. As we all know, Aurora comes together when needed the most. We have seen it time and time again. And I sincerely thank our community for getting us to the point to see the light at the end of the tunnel, that bright light of the City of Lights. Let's keep up the fight for our families, for our friends, and for our fun summer that's on the horizon. We see it right before us. We can do this. It's sort of like, and I say this because, having a kid, young boy growing up, we watch cartoons all the time. It's sort of like when the Power Rangers would all come together and activate their powers for the maximum good. We're in that zone right now, that very same zone. If we continue to do our part with our individual powers, we can collectively come together for the good of our city. Let's activate Aurora. Let's activate Aurora together. Thank you very much. Questions from the meeting? Yes, sir, in the back.
Not to be a pessimist, but are there some businesses, obviously it's been very difficult on a lot of businesses throughout the state. Are there some businesses that, is downtown going to look a little different because there's some who won't return?
Well, the question was, there have been, will downtown Aurora look a little different because businesses have struggled through the pandemic over the last 2 years. The reality of last year, the reality is this: we've had struggles throughout this country, throughout this world, and it's no different in our state, and it's no different in this city. Unfortunately, there were businesses that have been open and thriving that may not open again. But we've got to do our job as a community, our job, as leaders in this city, to make sure we get our community, our city back up and running, even better than it was before we met this ugly pandemic. And although Aurora downtown may not look exactly the same, I can guarantee you with all the hard work me and my team and I are going to put in, along with our aldermen, many of them here with me today, it's going to look even better. Mr. Lord.
Do you have a schedule yet for when you might start doing in-person public meetings again from the city standpoint? Is that?
Yes, we do. After June 14th.
Oh, okay.
We're back. We are back.
And from a selfish perspective, are you going to continue to video them and archive them?
Yes, I mean, the reality is COVID has changed.
I like that part.
COVID has changed a lot of things. And the reality, some are for the better. We've learned to communicate with each other more efficiently, effectively, in better ways, not necessarily always having to be in the same room. And we'll still use some of those technologies and innovations that we learned to use over COVID. Now, we're looking forward to getting back together in the same room with each other and doing the work of the community. But there will be certain times where we have to use that innovation, that technology that we learned how to use during COVID. Next question. Yes, sir.
By June 11th, are you hoping that you guys meet a certain criteria? How many more vaccinations are you hoping to get out by June 11th? Is there a specific metric by June 11th?
You know, again, we're going to follow the CDC guidelines. You know, as a municipality, we rely on our health departments, both our county health departments as well, you know, as the state health organizations, and we'll follow their guidelines. But as it's trending right now, it looks like we're going to be good to go and start celebrating on June 11th.
Let me follow up.
Yes, sir.
I hear you very happy about this, and you know we're headed in the right direction, just like you mentioned. There's going to be critics tonight who will watch this and might say, "Is it time yet?" What will you respond to them? So, because there's going to be that other side that might.
All I can tell, you know, there's always critics in everything that we do, and we welcome that. You know, it helps us to grow and become stronger when people question, you know, our methods and our reasoning for doing things. But I believe if we rely on the science that we have here, as we have here in Aurora, you know, from the very beginning, and as I stood at this podium a number of times and talked people through the rigors and everything we had to deal with COVID, I believe that based on the information that we have now, you know, we're ready to get the ball rolling, ready to kick our doors open and get Aurora activated. Now, again, we've got 2 more weeks before that date. We've got to continue trending at the same positive levels in this, or in the negative levels in this particular case, with hospitalizations down, with deaths down, with you need to have hospital visits at all down, and COVID down itself. As long as we have that, you know, and rely on the science, you know, I think that should silence the critics to some extent. Next question. Any question from? Yes, sir.
What are you hearing from residents as well as from business owners in response to this idea? Are they clamoring to be reopened?
So the question is, what am I hearing from businesses and our residents about getting our city reopened? I'm hearing nothing but positive. People are ready to get back out and be around each other again. People are ready to get back out and have fests, you know, have backyard barbecues, have parades, have events. People are ready to come back together and do as we have done as human beings, you know, forever. And that's congregate with each other and love on each other, brother. You know, I think folks are looking to walking up and it may not be the same, you know, going into the future, but people are looking forward to walking up and shaking a hand and giving someone a hug, you know, and just being around people that you haven't been able to be around since this pandemic started. So, you know, my folks are looking forward to it here in this city, and I expect around the whole state and this whole country, looking forward to get things open, looking forward to get COVID in the rearview mirror. Question? All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'll see you at the next one.